but her head is too big.
Hello everyone, and thank you for replicating with me. Today, we will be recreating Lilo's doll, Scrump. You're going to need green fabric, pink fabric, a black button, a dark blue button, a lighter blue button, foam, National Guard's 633 foam lock spray, gold or yellow rope trimming, black, blue, gold, and white thread, gold rope, black yarn, and a sewing kit and a sewing machine. To begin, we are going to get a marker or disappearing fabric ink marker to lay out Scrump shape on foam. You don't have to worry about messing up initially, since you will be covering and cutting the foam. Then, cut that shape out. My foam isn't nearly as thick as Scrump is, so I'm also cutting scrap foam pieces to add. I had to add multiple sections to create the belly and large round head. For this, I'm using National Guard's 633 foam lock spray to glue those pieces together. The directions mention, for a temporary hold, only spray one foam piece, but we want permanent, so we're going to spray both. I ended with this layered cake of foam here. Now is when you test the level of your patience, slowly snipping like you're trimming a bush in the suburbs till you have Scrump's overall shape. And I say slowly because if you overcut, you're going to have to glue more foam on and recut. If you notice the poorly sewn fabric on the head for some time in this video, the fabric I first got was too stretchy, and I ended up switching to a more felt-like material here and starting this step over. Excluding that, this is where you would be starting, cutting out 4 panels of fabric larger than the head and body. I pinned where I planned to sew. Because she isn't entirely symmetrical, the body is the easiest to start with. I like to mark where the seam will be with pen. When you use a sewing machine or hand stitch, it is very important to use that line. Don't trust the needles. When you mush the foam to pull her out of the fabric, some pins may fall out of place. You can hand sew this for authenticity or run it through your sewing machine, whichever way makes you feel like it's faster. And if you use white or light turquoise thread, your audience won't be able to see your results. Oops. I tested to see if it looks snug before I cut the extra away from my needed fabric. That gets turned inside out and the foam gets mushed right back inside. For the head, it's the same steps as before, except because the fabric isn't perfectly round, to make the face in the correct orientation, you pin the smile on the back of the head, flipped. That way, when it is right side outward, it will be in the correct curve and place on the front. Trust me, it worked.
Do you think he plans it all out? Or just makes it up as he goes along?
This is how it will look pinned. Yep, like that. Finally, I took the silly test piece off. After sewing and reversing the fabric, she'll look as such. Then I went and sewed the two pieces together by hand. Then, I laid the doll against a piece of paper and sketched a rough size estimate for the bow. Cut that out and measured out the two bow halves and center knot onto pink fabric. To get that pretty cartoon curve on the outside, I also sewed a curved moon-esque stitch into the middle of one side. It creates the bend when folded. They should look like this. Now, instead of finishing off the bow, we are going to use rope trimming and wire to create those yellow twigs that protrude from the top. I believe it's hair. I simply took some easily bendable wire, folded it to the length I wanted each hair strand, and pinched and twisted in the same shape as the rope all the way down, starting at the top, leaving extra at the bottom. Scrump appears to have 7 hairs that all vary in length. For smaller pieces, I just stopped twisting the wire where I wanted the strand to end. Twist all the wires together and cut off the remaining extra with pliers. To cover up the base, it's a good time to pin where the bow will surround the wire. You'll also want to measure out how large the middle knot will be. From here, you sew down the center on the front and back of the bow. Sew and flip this rectangle to make the knot. I had to hand sew the seam inside out, half a centimeter down. I hand sewed the ropes into that pocket. The bow in its entirety will have to be hand sewed to the top of the head. And when I say by hand, I mean like this. Then, attach the pink ribbon around the neck the same way. After that was done, I pinned down the buttons and laced a piece of rope and some black ribbon through the left eye and stomach button before sewing them down. I used blue, black, and gold thread for this. To finish it all up, I used a very large needle to stitch pink yarn through the facial fabric, recreating that charmingly wonky mouth. To tie up both ends of the smile, I made a knot, sewed back through, and cut the thread short so it won't come out. You can now replicate your very own Scrump doll. Thank you all so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, maybe hit the bell, and let me know what you thought or would like to replicate with me next time.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye-bye.